In ancient times, they developed a system of government that actually represented the people reasonably well. I don't think it's nearly as efficient as the American government originally was.
Yeah.
But they had, a system. They had, no dictator, no permanent dictator anyway. They had two consuls elected by the Senate, who was elected by the people. And so thus the people were represented. There was, different like classes of people, the plebeians, the patricians, but everyone was represented to some degree or another.
Right.
But you can see a similar trend there. So they devised a system of government that, worked for the people, that represented the people at least better than what they originally had. But what did they do in emergency times?
Yeah. So what we learned just off our research is in times of
like war,
extreme circumstance, theoretically.
Yeah.
The Senate would appoint a dictator that would have pretty much unlimited powers to deal with whatever the problem was at the time.
It's incredibly irresponsible.
If Rome was being invaded, they would appoint a single ruler that would have all power, not just over the military, but all power to do whatever he thought was necessary to save the Roman Republic. And he was supposed to either to surrender his powers back to the Roman Senate
within 6 months.
Yeah, when the problem was resolved, or if 6 months passed by and the problem's not dealt with or whatever, he was supposed to give his powers back.
So there's never supposed to be a permanent dictator ever in the Roman government system. The problem with that, though, is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't remember how that quote goes. As a matter of fact, there was only one notable dictator to be spoken of, whose name was Cincinnatus, I think was his name. A simple farmer, I believe, from Spain, kind of like in that movie Gladiator, he was actually the only one of note that ever gave the power back when he was supposed to, within 15 days of resolving a conflict.
Right.
That's not a very good track record, because the last temporary dictator that they ever had was Julius Caesar.
Emphasis on temporary.
Right.
Use of extensive air quotation marks.
Absolutely.
Here in the studio.
Absolutely. He was the last temporary dictator who never gave his power back.
And I think it's interesting. I feel like this is what we're seeing in America. The government has usurped, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. The president does things that the president was never supposed to do. The federal government does things that the federal government was never supposed to do.